say you wanna watch a drama. You say you wanna watch a comedy. Well, you can watch it with your mama, or you can watch it with your daddy.
You'll even sit and watch it with your middle schooler, so you can come and talk around a water cooler. We're watching all day and all night.
Couch potatoes unite.
Whoa, whoa.
Couch potatoes unite.
Whoa, whoa. Couch potatoes unite.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the podcast entitled Couch Potatoes Unite! Which is based on a blog of the same name because this is our Gotham City of sorts. Though we have far fewer arch-villains, I will let the panel identify themselves as arch-villain or hero or anti-hero, depending upon what they want to say, and much more logic, or much more logical, than this television series, at least most of the time, which is a possible foreshadowing. That was less of a joke and more of a statement. Okay, if you've been listening to our series of episodes about the show to date, you'll get what... Okay, I'll just get on with it. My name is Kylie and I love TV. If you feel the same, keep listening. And we're checking out our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, as you're bound to find some common ground or something you like. For Couch Potatoes Unite, we're all about the wonders and unique long-form storytelling of the small screen. CPU, ! Hopes you've been following releases of brand new episodes of the podcast on Wednesdays, as well as new blog entries on some Tuesdays. And as always, we have several more new episodes on the way. Because the panelists and I live lives behind our podcast, the episodes are published once per week. Subscribe to the blog or the podcast via iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, via Google Play, and now on Spotify to stay on top of brand new episodes. Episodes already published discuss a variety of shows around the water cooler, including but not limited to Fuller House, Westworld, Arrested Development, Jane the Virgin, Schitt's Creek, Doctor Who, Supernatural, Orange is the New Black, and Riverdale. Plus new episodes are in the works, including revisits for Game of Thrones, Stranger Things, iZombie, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., 13 Reasons Why, The Crown, American Horror Story, Grace and Frankie, The Good Place, Altered Carbon. The Marvel's Defenders series panel will conclude its run talking Jessica Jones Season 3. The DCTU series will tackle the Crisis on Infinite Earths. We'll be launching new panels covering the chilling adventures of Sabrina, Charmed, Outlander, The Breaking Bad universe, and This Is Us. And because we look back at shows now past, we'll take a small look back at a short-term show from some kind of yesteryear called Freaks and Geeks. We'll put out some musical stops for our crazy ex-girlfriend. We'll revisit one of the all-time and most-watched classic sitcoms, MASH, and we'll consider the moral implications and quick cancellation of Dollhouse. By the way, did you know that CPU also from time to time goes live? We've been live from bunkers, comedy shows, and Comic-Cons. We went live last spring from a game store to take a shiny look back at Firefly. Plus, we're planning more live appearances and other cool stuff. So make sure you like or follow us at our Facebook page, our Twitter at CPU Podcast, our Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite, or subscribe to the blog, our YouTube channel, our Apple iTunes channel, our Stitcher Radio channel, or find us on Google Play and now on Spotify. In the meantime, if you don't hear your show in this podcast format, fellow panelists and I still write reviews, and we always seek new panelists. So if you have any interest in joining the discussion, say hello by finding us at any of those outlets I've mentioned. At the very least, stop by and leave us a thumbs up, comment, or review. We like feedback. No rocket launchers, though, and try not to blow up everything. Don't make us use our bat signals. Just kidding. Bat signals are not in our budget. Today we're around the water cooler for the final time to discuss the final season, that is Season 5, and the arc entitled Legend of the Dark Knight of Gotham, the crime drama based on characters appearing in and published by DC Comics from the Batman franchise, primarily those of James Gordon and Bruce Wayne, which aired on Fox from January 3rd to April 25th, 2019, with a total of 12 episodes. We'll also be looking back at the series as a whole now that we have viewed the whole show and have discussed it in various parts by multiple seasons, a season here, a half season there, depending upon the time frame, to see if Gotham meets muster as a superhero adaptation crime drama in its own right, or alternatively, if would-be viewers should really avoid this tale of the not-quite-caped crusader and the would-be police commissioner who supports him from the shadows of the brutal streets of Gotham City. By way of plot summary, and to remind our listeners, created by Bruno Heller, Gotham stars Ben McKenzie as the young Jim Gordon before he became commissioner of Gotham City Police Department. As originally conceived, the series would have served as a straightforward story of Gordon's early days on the Gotham City Police Department force. The idea evolved not only to include the Wayne character, played by David Mazouz, but also to tell the origin stories of several Batman villains, including the Penguin, the Riddler, Catwoman, Poison Ivy, Two-Face, the Scarecrow, Mr. Freeze, Hugo Strange, and the Joker. In the 5th and final season, Captain Gordon and his allies work to restore order in Gotham City after it is cut off from the rest of the world and after all of the major criminals and villains have each claimed territory in the desolate city. Jeremiah Valeska, guest star Cameron Monaghan, attempts to cement his bond, quote-unquote, with Bruce Wayne by reenacting the night of his parents' deaths. Oswald Cobblepot, a.k.a. the Penguin, played by Robin Lord Taylor, and Edward Nygma, a.k.a. the Riddler, played by Corey Michael Smith, join forces to escape from Gotham for good, and Barbara Keene, played by Erin Richards, gives up a life of crime when she becomes pregnant with Gordon's child after a one-night stand spurred by fatigue from navigating the so-called no man's land, quote-unquote, of Gotham. Mysterious politician Teresa Walker, guest star Jamie Murray, sends the military group Delta Force, led by Gordon's old army companion Eduardo Dorrance, guest star Shane West, to help the Gotham City Police Department in their war against the overwhelming criminal populace. Our committed group of Bat fans, namely Hillary, Kyle, Spencer, and Nick, is back after a self-imposed and procrastinating hiatus fraught with reluctance, to dissect in our usual devoted discourse and spicy speech, for better or for worse, the 5th and final season of Gotham, and to look back at Gotham as a whole now that all is said and done. Before we do, as always, I'm going to take a moment to double-check the panel's temperature because, after all, as we all know, sometimes a TV show can take turns for the better or the worse in our heads, or can continue the level of awesomeness or lack thereof, depending upon its story evolution. And if you've been listening by now, you know with Gotham, one never knows. Or maybe we do finally know at the last and are a bit afraid that you're not going to like what we have to say, gentle listener. But either way, and as always, it should be noted that all of our panelists have viewed all of Gotham and will, let's face it, discuss sensitive plot points. So for those of you who are not caught up on Gotham, listen at your own risk, as there may be major spoilers. Welcome back, panel. How are you?
Depressed.
Depressed?
Yeah, we're talking about this shit show.
So aren't you happy it's done?
Yes, that is quite a relief, actually.
So I've cheered you up.
There you go.
And we're going to talk about this your word shit show. You know.
I'm not wrong.
Well, we're going to talk about it.
We were all about to rush to the show's defense, but
You know.
So they're foreshadowing, but we're going to talk in more depth about this after I double-check your temperature along the standard CPU character question, which changes with each show we do. And, of course, this is the last time we're doing it. It's for Gotham. So are you ready?
Yes.
Sure.
They're like, just get it over with.
Woman.
That was weird.
Damn it, woman.
And disclaimers will come. So how do you feel now that Gotham is all done? How did you feel about Gotham once you roll the credits on that series finale? I am almost afraid to know. Did you watch it for a more detailed backstory about the Caped Crusader, as you're interested in his childhood, what made him decide to fight crime as Batman, and how he decides to finally don the cape in question, bats and all, like Bruce Wayne? Did you watch it because you feel enough attention hasn't been paid to supporting characters in the mythology, and you wonder how everyone in Gotham City made the choice of the right or wrong side of the line? Or you're watching because you're sticking with the show, for better or for worse, as you think it's fighting its way back from the darkness just like you did, and or because it's been a veritable no man's land the whole time, not just the final season, and you had an insatiable need to see if it could redeem itself, like Jim Gordon. Did you watch it to learn the backstories of Batman's biggest foes and how they finally came into their identities, like Edward Nygma, aka the Riddler, and or became worthy of Batman's attention, like Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin? Did you watch it because you love the backdrop that is Gotham City, even though you know it has its flaws? In fact, you accepted those flaws and were more than willing to navigate them if it helps to get the job done, like Harvey Bullock. Did you watch it because you're very protective of the legacy of the franchise, particularly the young boy who would be Batman one day? In fact, you love the boy so much you're willing to fall on your sword for the boy and for this show, like Alfred Pennyworth. Did you watch it because you're resigned to embrace the show for what it is, despite the show's acknowledged and considerable flaws, warts and all, like Leslie or Lee Tompkins? Did you watch it because you think it is capable of change, or was capable of change, and adjusted to its different directions smoothly, as you did with your career change to the GCPD like Lucius Fox? Did you watch it because A, now this one's long, and I wrote this one with someone on this panel in mind. Did you watch it because A, even though you almost gave up on it, something like a random plant spore from plot device Ivy Pepper, aka Poison Ivy, gave you some modicum of hope that the show would surprise you in its final season, no matter how unlikely, and you are much more invested than you wanted to admit? Or B, you decided to take more agency in your game of survival by embracing the parts of the show you do like and watching what comes next, even if there was an excellent chance you might not like what's coming because you need to get something out of all the time you put into watching it. Or C, you like young Bruce Wayne more than you want to admit, plus your friends watched it, and you don't have many of them, so you watched it to at least join in on the conversation, no matter how tedious, like Selene Kyle, aka Kat. Did you watch it because even though you acknowledge that it's up, it's down, it's all over the place, it's really meant for something more and has a greater destiny, even if it's really hard to apply yourself to watching long enough to see it, and even though you can't see how anything good can come from it. In fact, it's all too little too late in the redemption department for this show, like Barbara Keene. Did you watch it but you don't like it and are ready to switch your loyalties to either someone who can handle writing for the Batman property properly, if not well, or to another comic book show entirely? Or you watched it because you were subjected to plant pheromones, Poison Ivy, what a gal, like Victor Zsasz, or you stopped watching or jumped the shark because, spoiler, you died, even though you never should have done if the writers had done some of their jobs right, like Rachel Gould or Butch Gilzine, a.k.a. Cyrus Gold, a.k.a. Solomon Grundy, or Tabitha Gallivan. Who would like to start?
Hi, this is Spencer.
Hi, Spencer.
And in this season, I will say that I, unfortunately, am a mixture of Barbara Keene, Victor Zsasz, and anyone who got killed before the last episode and feels great relief for it.
So the bottom three.
Yes.
Because really that is all the bottom three.
Yes. Essentially the worst of the worst.
Last time you were basically those same characters, except that I added, you didn't pick the bottom, and I added, well, you added Barbara Keene, because you didn't want to be Barbara.
I don't want to be Barbara Keene, but that description fits this season so very well.
Fair enough. Welcome back, Spencer.
Thank you.
Nick here.
Hi, Nick here.
I am a little bit of Barbara with a little bit of Lee Tompkins because at this point I was like, whatever. Like, that's fine.
Just get it over with.
Last time and for a while
But
you've
coming
been
from
Harvey.
somebody who was not as dedicated to these characters to begin with, so you were just like, whatever.
These were wilder swings that there were moments where I was like, that is... Ugh.
No.
Like, I would almost get upset. And then
All
I was like,
inaccurate.
well, but that's... I'd be dumb to not expect it. So, I don't... It was fine.
Everything's fine. That is the saying from The Good Place. Welcome, everything's fine. You've been Harvey Bullock for a while, so you've slipped. You're like, whatever. Who cares about Gotham City? Let them be an island for all I care.
I also feel like Gotham was at its worst. And then there's aspects of the last episode that was just like, we don't really even need Batman here, do we? That's not what the show should have done. So, yeah, we'll talk about it more.
Okay.
It's probably my longest intro.
I love that it's also creating the same problem for everybody else, just slightly delayed.
Well, first of all, welcome back, Nick. Second of all, the person who's been talking gets to go next.
Hey, I'm Hillary.
Hey, Hillary.
You're my sister,
It's
moderating. And my husband will talk in a second. His name's Kyle.
Dynamics.
Yep. I'm still going to say I'm Harvey because I do like the backdrop of Gotham City, even though this is not Gotham City, really. And I'm going to say that, yeah, you probably did write that one for me, which is fair. I would have given up on it. I wanted to put something into the time that I put into it. But I would say the last part of it is mostly me, the part where it said, you're going to watch it because you want to join the conversation, but it's tedious as hell, like Selene Kyle. And then the last part, I'm still going to say I'm Victor Zsasz, because I just wish I didn't have to watch it. And I really wish that somebody who at least, I mean, and we'll talk about it again, we talked about it before, none of us, I don't think, especially us loyal, dedicated Batman fans, ever expected it to be exactly a dead-on adaptation, but it just went so many different crazy places, it's like they didn't even try. And then the other flip side of it, they did adapt things, but from the wrong things, and yeah, so we'll talk about that, but I was just sad that I had to watch it still.
You just added, you were basically Selena and Victor and Harvey the last time. So
yeah,
you
it's basically the same, although a little bit of the poison ivy part.
Which must kill you a little on the inside.
All parts of the show kill me on the inside.
Fair enough. Welcome back, Hillary, my sister, Dynamics.
Okay, and I am Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
Hillary's husband and brother-in-law to the moderator.
That's a nice disclaimer, Kyle.
And
Times 2.
pretty much every
We'll call you the
season...
dynamic duo.
That was droll.
Pretty much every season of this show, I fell somewhere around the Riddler, watching it for the villains. This season, I would say before it aired, I would say I was in a Selena Kyle place. I had a modicum of hope that with an end date and a very clear finish line that they would pull something together. I was very hopeful with some of the first pictures, and then they showed Bane. And then, when I was actually watching the show, Victor's Oz, I watched it, but I did not like it. I did not like pretty much anything about it. It was a final letdown in almost every single regard.
All right. I don't even know how to push that further. We'll save it. Welcome back, Kyle. And of course, my name is Kylie. I participate as well as moderate in this city called Gotham. For the longest time, I have been the villains on the character question, and that was true the last time. I've been Oswald / Edward. Last time I added Selena because most of that description was there the last time. At this point, I'm going to say I'm Selena, and I'm going to say I'm Barbara. Which I do not like Barbara, but I wrote that one with me in mind. In terms of redemption arc on the show, it was too little too late. It was a mess. There were moments. There were like teeny tiny, okay, that's, no. Oh, wait. Oh, no, they messed that up too. There was a lot of that in the season 5 watch, and I really wanted to like it, and I think they landed in a place that made sense for what they did, but since none of it's made sense up until this point, none of it makes sense, period, and that's what we're going to talk about. So Gotham, if you've been following our series, it has not been super positive since about season 3. And we've done half-season recordings for 3A, 3B, 4A, 4B. We waited to do 5 because it was a shorter set of episodes for the season. Now we're going to talk about the whole thing. It's called The Legend of the Dark Knight. This time I formatted their preparation a little bit different. I gave them plot points, but I also have specific questions. Those I will ask. But for right now, what we're going to do, just have at the season. Talk about what... It might be shorter to start with what you liked, if anything. If there's nothing that you liked, then just expound on what you didn't.
Occasional glimpses of Batman lore is it for me. I mean, just there were very minute moments where I was like, oh, Batman, oh no, not again. I think I've described it before as this is what a show looks like when you put 10 monkeys in a room with typewriters, except this year they removed all the vowels.
That metaphor expands every time.
I love it.
I was optimistic about like some of the setup of maybe seeing what's happening in the different parts of Gotham. They've kind of mentioned different things. We got a little bit of Scarecrow, but none of it mattered. So that's what I liked about it.
That none of it mattered?
Wasn't
They were
Bane one of the most disappointing things you've ever seen on TV?
I mean...
My expectations were so low that
Other
I
And
don't
they
know.
still managed to go beneath them.
Is this a stretch? The Bane from Batman and
Yeah.
Robin was closer to Bane than this Bane?
No.
None
I
of
mean,
them.
That's
no
not a
version,
stretch? Or
no version of Bane is even close to how he is in the comics.
None of
Right.
them.
He's hyper intelligent.
The Bane and
His
Arkham
appearance,
Asylum games is more accurate.
his appearance is very disarming because he's smarter than Batman in a lot of ways. He's a genius level in this huge hulking body, and they always make
But
him
it's the
into a.
reaction from what he's putting into himself.
He's
that
patient too.
Yes.
Yes.
Extremely patient in the comic books. He completely engineered a situation in
But
which...
this-
he
this-
would
Why
be
do they
able to
always
break
make Bane a
Batman.
pawn?
Exactly. Yes, they always
Correct.
make him a henchman
He shouldn't
or
be.
militaristic.
This was like...
He should be the top dog. He should be a real threat.
But they got
And
it right
again-
by having him break Alfred's back?
This is very similar to the mistakes they made in the Dark Knight Rises movie, which they nearly
Cribbed.
did the same thing.
Exactly.
And they didn't use Talia, they used Nissa Al Ghul, and he's there, but he's like Tom Hardy's version of Bane's like sad, pathetic cousin.
It's like you mix
version.
that with Darth Vader, and that's the version.
And physically, he
And-
never even
and that
looked
was all
remotely
wrong.
close to Bane.
No.
The Dark Knight Rises movie was not right either.
No.
So these people clearly, again, as I think we've talked about before, don't actually know that much about the source material. They're going by what they've seen or the snippets that they know. And I just said, we don't expect it to be an exact adaptation, but it's ridiculous. You don't have to make it ridiculous either. You can find some happy medium in there, I think.
Yeah. Sadly, the closest one they even get to accurate is Scarecrow, and they still barely use him. Mm-hmm. But he's at least the closest that they've come.
I mean, the look of him was kind of cool, but it didn't,
Bane?
Scarecrow.
No, Scarecrow.
Okay,
Not
I thought you were
Bane,
going
not
Bane. I was
Bane,
going to be
no.
like, there was nothing
Bane
good about
literally
that.
looked like a 1970s Doctor Who model.
Yeah. Like somebody was
That's
somebody
what I
had
said.
random steampunk pipes on his chest.
Maybe they
It was
wanted to
like
make it easy
a
on
really
cosplayers.
bad version of the Tom Hardy thing. And that's I agree with you, the Scarecrow, he did kind of look cool, but yeah, I mean, he was nearly pointless. He was just there for flashy, here. And that's sad. You have all these very rich characters, and that's why people like the Batverse in general, is just because it has so many rich characters, and they're just chucking them in just for, there's just no care and attention shown to it. It's just so that they can make it flashy, thinking people are going to watch it and get excited about it. And some people probably do.
There's a reason it was cancelled after season 4, and they gave them a shortened season 5 to wrap it up.
I know,
It's because people didn't.
I agree with you. It went down a little, but because I always fall into the trap of reading comments, and there are those that still are like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, and I'm like, what are you on?
I think you're clicking on the wrong board, because this can't be for the show that we're watching.
And maybe that's people who don't watch any Batman or read any comics like this show maybe on its own. It's still wild writing choices too. Even if you leave alone that it's not doing good
chaos
lore,
theory
it's
in
not
so many ways.
good writing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you took this apart and separated it just as a story about a city with a bunch of craziness in it, there's no rhyme or reason to the progression
that's
of the
happening,
story.
yeah.
So just ignore that Batman and villains and Commissioner Gordon and everybody else are inaccurately told. That's a problem. The story itself is so terribly woven over these 5 seasons.
It's completely disjointed.
It's disjointed. I've said on this recording numerous times. They set up a set of rules, or what we thought were the rules for this prequel universe, if that's what it is, or Elseworlds universe, or whatever we're supposed to look at it as. And they abandoned them the very next season. They set up a new set of rules. They abandoned them the very next season. And it's been like that pretty much every season, except I would say 4 into 5 has been the most consistent progression of what was already a downhill slide.
I mean, when the show was announced, it was a Commissioner Gordon backstory.
Yep.
That was where we were supposed to go, and it very quickly derailed from that, and I don't think
Because
it
he
ever
doesn't
really found
have
track
a rich
again.
enough backstory to sustain
Well,
a
that
show.
and they completely screwed it up anyway. You can't have Jim Gordon, the icon of justice and truth, immediately be a bent cop.
You're already writing off
It's
this whole backstory
two or
as it
three
is.
episodes in where
Yeah.
they completely
They
Derailed right off of
Went out.
everything that he actually is as a character. So you can't have a backstory. That's
and
it's all
then they'd start
contradictory.
to write it, and he'd be like, I'm gonna be righteous. I'm not gonna go down this dark path. And then they're like, oh, we're gonna have a plot where he has to go down a dark path and do sketchy stuff. It's like they kept doing the things that was so
because Gotham
anti-Gordon.
is broken. I mean, the idea that Gotham is broken, you need the White Knight, so to speak, of Jim Gordon, but they felt that because Gotham was broken, he had to be broken too to fix it, and that just never.
No.
It's just not right.
Yeah.
They could have spent more time. I think they were trying to be like, well, people will watch it if we announce Mr. Freeze is in it.
Yeah.
Right, flashy.
They could have spent more time with those characters before they became arch villains, and that could have led to we need Batman.
There's
to
so
save
many
Gotham,
good characters
but-
that have a rich history before they I know the
They
actor
all
got
do.
recast
They
on
all
something
have
else,
good
but I mean,
origin
you could have did a
stories.
very slow build up on Harvey Dent, who's one of Jim Gordon's best friends and one of Bruce Wayne's friends. You could have did a
have to become
slow,
Two-Face.
yeah. You could have did a slow arc of him, and with little hints here and there. And there's so many of these characters that you could have done that with. As I've mentioned before, they never touched Hush. They barely touched Black Mass. They did like Black Mass Dad in season 1 or something. There's all these characters that have this long, slow history where you could have slowly built it up and actually made a real mythology.
And it exists.
And then ended it in the point where it should end. But they just were like Nick said, oh, this week is Mr. Freeze, this week's Poison Ivy, this week is this person, and the format just did not sustain.
You've got 75 years of source material and they just completely ignored it.
Well, and even what they did take.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
for example, you've all mentioned and keep mentioning their rich histories. That's because the villains, even if you take some sort of prequelness or background out of it, they're three-dimensional all by themselves.
Yes.
This show reduced them to very flat pieces of their character.
Not even
and
like two-dimensional, like one-dimensional.
Right, and exploited that one dimension. So, for example, Penguin. I'm gonna focus on Penguin and Riddler because they're the two best told ones. I think Selena is next, just based on by virtue of the fact that they're young, and I wasn't sure where they were going with it at first. But Penguin and Riddler were probably the two best to start. They focused entirely on Penguin's, I'm gonna call him abandonment /
Yeah, in the
isolation,
beginning,
narcissism thing, and Edward's on his, narcissistic intelligence, but then they kind of splatted them together, not just in the weird lovey sense, but also in the intermingling who they are.
Anytime any character got traction in this show that you started to feel like they might be heading the right direction, almost the very next episode, every time they did something that completely derailed them.
Yeah.
The Riddler, for me, was the genesis of the character in the show was one of the best things they did.
Yeah.
Yes.
But very quickly did they completely take his intelligence away, for example. It's like, what?
Exactly. He was
What
more
your thought
Riddler-y
process?
when he was working with the cops, where he was just solving all these
Yeah.
crimes for them
In
and getting
season
no
1.
recognition.
Which he could have
Season 1 and
stayed there a
yeah,
lot longer.
they could have stayed there longer, and then they should have had more of a mystery of there's a Riddler out there and he's leaving these brilliant clues and kind of play with the fact that you don't know who it is. You know what I mean? Like Ed's still
Or
working with the
still
cops.
go down the road
They
that
went
he
straight-
doesn't know who
yeah.
he is.
They went straight to he's killing people. And once he actually was wearing the green suit, nothing he ever did was very hyper intelligent
It was
or well
nothing
planned
the
out.
Riddler would do.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
But he could build
Yeah,
a
no.
submarine.
And they,
No.
they didn't even come up with good riddles for it.
No.
No, they made him seriously.
They made him reductive. He was a split
Yeah.
personality who didn't do anything
Yeah.
and didn't really realize all the big talk that he was making.
And it just sucks because the actor's good.
He's great.
He could have been an
I love
amazing
him.
Riddler. And like I said, the first couple seasons when he was working with the
think-
cops, he was great.
Yeah, I was gonna at some point say, but I'll just say it now that one of the biggest, I think, tragedies of the show is they really had great actors and they were so wasted. So wasted. It's
Yeah, pretty
sad.
much across the board.
Yes.
And those that
They were cast well.
I thought Victor Zsasz was one of the better characters in the show, and you hardly ever get to see him in the last 2 seasons.
I mean, he's enjoyable to watch. He's not really Victor Zsasz, but he's still enjoyable to watch. But yeah, you do barely see him in the last couple. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody in this show was
No.
really close to any of the comic book characters.
No.
Maybe Alfred at a sliver, but
Well, in the beginning, a little bit. Again, I agree with her a little
Selena.
bit in the beginning. Like Oswald,
Edward.
Edward, Selena, a little bit. But yes, and I was fine with that. But then, like I said, everything just got so crazy. And this last season's like the craziest stuff. The crazy.
Well, and here's a weird example too. They have it's Peyton List, right, that plays Ivy in this season.
Yeah.
She's terrible in this.
She's
Ivy
a
number
Robin.
4.
But get
3.
this,
Right.
Peyton List has been voicing Poison Ivy in all the Warner Brothers cartoons for the last 3 or 4 years, and she's really good when she voices her in animated form. So it's it has to be the people running the show that are making them bad.
Full on, 100%. The people running the show and the writers for the show have. I would wager that half of them have never even looked at a Batman comic book.
I don't think you're wrong.
Or even watched the lengthy library of even on-screen production of Batman. I mean, there's
Animated and
there's-
live action.
yes,
It's one of the richest properties in
comic book
any
history.
medium.
That's
I
why
mean,
Warner Brothers beats it to death, because it's richest and everybody loves it. So
They got it right once in a
Everybody
while.
noticed that this is the only version of a DC comic that wasn't given a shout out in Crisis.
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh well,
No,
there's
spoiler.
absolutely no Gotham shout out in everything
true.
else.
Not a
Every single version of almost everything, even canceled Swamp Thing, but nothing for Gotham.
That's telling.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's ask some anything else you want to say before I start asking some questions?
How did
That was some pretty good venting.
yeah?
I know.
Yeah, I was
How do
gonna
you
say, I
feel
would probably
about,
Bit of a catharsis going on here.
Scarface,
ventriloquist?
Mr. Scarface. What's the guy's name?
Oh,
The actual
ventriloquist.
comic
Penn.
villain is
Yes.
Scarface.
Yes.
The character's name is Arthur Penn. He calls himself the ventriloquist.
Ventriloquist, yeah.
So-
How do you feel about that?
I mean, he's nobody's favorite Batman villain.
But
No.
even still, again,
But he still looked more accurate than anything.
He
I mean,
did look accurate,
again,
and
he
especially
kinda
towards
looks-
the cartoon,
it
the
kind
animated
of,
series.
again, like Scarecrow. Oh, well, he kind of looks kind of cool, but it was absolutely pointless.
Well,
Yeah, he was there
It was
just because.
again another
he
flashy
exists.
thing. Oh, here, this is what we're gonna call our Easter egg. Here you go, Batman fans.
Question!
So that you can do 2 more episodes. So they were like, "Oh, let's add this storyline because we have 2 more
Question.
episodes."
The show strong-armed a bunch of last-minute one-off villains into this season, including Bane, Jane Doe, Magpie, Scarface / the ventriloquist, and Nissa Al Ghul. Was it necessary?
No.
Necessary. No.
That's a list of villains no Batman fan would clamor for.
No. Maybe Bane if they did it right.
If Bane was done right.
Or
yeah.
Talia,
I mean,
if they
Bane
did
is
it
a very
right,
important
or-
part of Batman.
like-
Well, they
Yeah.
should never have killed Ra's al Ghul. Just, I mean, bottom line,
There's
that
a
should
lot
never
of
have
things they
happened.
shouldn't have
yeah, but how many
done.
times has Ra's al Ghul been killed in DCTU and DC films in the last 10
But
years?
here it was
Pretty much every
really
time he's
poorly
appeared.
chosen.
Oh, kill him.
So I'm gonna say if you want to watch something on screen for him, you should really just watch the animated series, and that's it.
Yes.
That's my commentary on that.
And I mean, I throw this in every episode, but I'll just throw it in again. They throw in a random villain, no hush.
And that's a big deal. Like, he's a big deal. That's one of Batman's most popular comic
And he
modern
created in
storylines.
the last, 15 years, he's the only one that actually stuck.
Thank you,
And then
Jimmy.
they never use him.
They
It's-
seeded him for like a minute in season 2.
But that would have been but it still would have been perfect. Bruce is young. That's when you should be seeing that evolve.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's so essential to that actual storyline that was so huge and popular.
And building off of
Wow.
Nick's point, because they did have 2 extra episodes where they were clearly trying to get to 100.
They did it.
They did it, but there were clearly filler episodes. Like that whole story could have been told in 6 episodes.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
for sure. I don't think I'll be rewatching the show.
Oh, God.
No.
I was mad that I was mad that I first suggested we podcast about it. I was like, darn it! And I remember the first one all like hopeful, like we were like, yes, we're
Didn't you
excited
guys come?
about that.
That's where I.
You weren't there
You
yet.
weren't there yet. Jen started on this one.
You
Oh,
guys,
really?
And jumped the shark. And so you
the
all...
only smart.
Like,
You
that's
guys
what...
convinced me to
She
watch.
might argue that. No.
Yes.
What happened
I just wanted
was...
to talk about
We
Batman
were,
stuff.
we were so hopeful in the beginning, and the show just wore us down.
The story of Nick joining the Gotham panel is
Oh, yeah,
that
that's right.
we spent so much time complaining about Gotham on the Marvel and then eventually the
Oh, yeah.
DCTU when you joined that you were like, I might as well watch Gotham and see. I just want to see what they're complaining about. And then you jumped on when Jen went off.
I remember when they first announced this show, I was like, Batman without Batman? No thanks.
Yeah, and honestly, this
But
show...
it happens, like, because he's got so many characters, and it's fine.
It could have. There was a lot of potential. They could have even
Oh, yeah.
Smallvilled it, but Bruce Wayne style. They didn't do that either.
Yeah, but even Smallville. Because I feel like when they first announced it, no, maybe the.
I mean, Smallville was kind of the first of its kind.
Right.
So
This show, though, is 100% of the reason I didn't watch Krypton on Sci-Fi.
Which turned out to be okay.
Yeah,
That's
okay,
what
but
I've
not
heard.
that it mattered.
So-
Not that it mattered.
Again,
It's done, but
It was picking up this huge epic momentum, and then so you can't watch the first and second season now because it's everything they're building towards never happened. So
Also, Sci-Fi is weird. Sorry, Sci-Fi Network.
No,
well,
you're not
also
wrong.
DC just does that a lot too in some of their storylines. But
Speaking of DC and Warner Brothers, the Joker. Not Joker.
Yeah, that had potential too.
yeah, I mean he's a great actor, and
He
did a good
did
job.
he did good stuff with what he was given to work
Yeah.
with, but immediately telling everyone, well, no, he's not the Joker before we've even seen him. Well, then why bother?
yeah.
I just did
Or-
not care about the whole storyline of him trying to recreate his parents. It
That
was
was
just
weird.
it was so over the top for where they should be at that point. I mean, if it was something where Bruce and him had already been on their thing for many years and they're older, it makes no sense. Like, they're just trying to make something... It
They were
feels
trying
so
to do
forced.
they were trying to do what Smallville did with Clark and Lex Luthor, but in a truncated time period.
Yeah.
And that just
Without them
wasn't
actually
organic
being
at all.
friends.
Yeah,
They're
there was
not
no
friends.
organic-
There's no...
They're
there's no
desperately
reason for it.
trying to give him the Batman Joker dynamic.
Yeah, because
But it makes no sense that he would just the Joker would just be like, oh hey, this rich billionaire kid, he's my soulmate.
I
Like,
want
it
you to
makes no
care
sense.
about-
What they tried to do can't happen in 1 or 2 episodes,
Yeah,
which
no.
is when they tried to do it. That should have been an arc that started in season 1 and carried on all the way through.
I
That
argue
would
it
have been-
still wouldn't have worked.
It probably wouldn't, but it would have worked better than it did.
Because, and Kyla said it a million times before, but Batman and Joker are yin and yang.
I'm 100% with you.
I know. Depending upon where the story starts, and everybody does it differently. One builds the other, builds the other, builds the other. They
Yeah,
go
they
back
don't
and
exist
forth.
without
Right.
each other.
So it doesn't make any sense. And the fact that there was these twin brothers, and one was kind of the Joker, and then the other one was kind of the Joker, didn't make any sense. None of it made any sense. I don't even think starting it from the beginning would have helped.
And
the
I
story.
think that when they killed off the first incarnation of the Joker, and they got backlash for killing off Jerome, they decided, oh wait, well we can just bring him back with his brother and have him be created to be the same character but different. And it just
the Jerome version was
so,
better.
Yeah.
You had mentioned last time that they were basing it off of different Joker profiles from
Yes.
different comic stories.
Because they were. But it was still not right.
Yeah,
It was
none of
more
was
right, though, than what this was. Again, it's just madness. I can't even wrap my brain around it.
And then to have now, thankfully, it's been confirmed that she's not Harley Quinn,
Echo.
but she sure looked like Harley Quinn.
They were-
and she said
yeah.
puddin'.
Yeah, she played like Harley Quinn, she spoke like Harley Quinn, she wasn't Harley Quinn. Again, and that's a perfect illustration of this entire show.
Literally not Harley Quinn.
And I
Just because she's like, oh yeah, but like she's just doing everything for him.
Wasn't there even a hyena there?
No.
Did I make that
Was
up?
there a hyena there?
There might have been.
I don't know. Some of it I started
honestly,
to block
Yeah, we
out.
binged it and we're just like,
I
a lot
literally
of
was
this
just
last-
I
like,
feel like there's a random.
she never said Miss to
sorry,
Jay.
what?
but
I was just
she
going
did
to say, a lot of this
boss.
last season I watched while doing things on my phone.
right. That's what I was gonna say. Like
Oh,
I
that's
would.
why you didn't like it.
Right.
oh yeah,
I
we missed all the depth and subtlety.
I literally said to Kyle, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Like I felt like I was gonna.
Go get the bottle of scotch and sign on what's gone.
Let's talk
Not
about
Harley
Selena and Bruce.
Ooh.
At least they had chemistry, the actors.
That was weird.
It was funny, but still, that's not right either. I mean, none of it's right.
What about that spore or whatever the hell it
a
was?
plant that gives her weird cat powers, that makes a lot of sense.
So my immediate reaction, and I spoke to my cat at the time, was, are they trying to make everybody a mutant on the show? What is going on?
Yeah,
You
it's
shouldn't be
almost
trying
like,
to make anybody a mutant. That's different.
it's like, this is not the X-Men, guys. Stop it.
Yeah.
There's lots of things that pops up in, but yeah, it definitely does. It's not Batman. No.
And the couple that could be arguably mutants do not include her.
Right.
So,
Killer Croc,
sure.
Clayface.
Yeah.
You know.
Her stupid eyes.
That was so pointless.
Didn't they go away too?
Yes.
Okay.
You never saw those
Yeah,
again.
they never came back. And suddenly she was more cat-like. She was always cat-like.
Like she was literally
Yeah.
always cat-like.
From early on, I mean, the physicalities and everything she was doing were cat-like. You didn't need to add the mutation.
And this
weirdness.
second coming weirdness when she woke up, it was so weird.
I was like,
a
that was one of the only characters that they hadn't totally destroyed. No, leave it to Gotham.
Well, at least they're complete.
Yeah, there you go. You're completionist in your crap. Good job.
Are you at least relieved to know that Echo's not really Harley?
It doesn't
I don't
matter.
give a
And I'll
damn.
say,
That's just what they said because they don't want to make people upset. But it was, again,
technically, we never saw the
Harley
real
Quinn's
Joker
cheap,
anyway, so
poor-
why would you see his psychiatrist who's younger than them anyway,
Yeah,
so
I
shouldn't
agree.
even be anywhere near
They were
here.
trying- I don't care
okay.
what they say.
I
They
was
were
actually
trying to make
happy
her
it
Harley
wasn't
Quinn.
Harley,
Yeah.
is why I'm asking you.
Yeah, I just
They were
didn't
still
care.
trying to
It
make
didn't.
her. It's the difference between, okay, we're going to have Nyssa instead of Talia. It's basically the same thing. We're just going to call her Echo. We don't have anything else to... We can't call Harley Quinn anything. We'll just make some crap up.
Almost as if in answer to our podcast, Oswald at one time explains to Jim that Ed is not the sort to perpetrate mass killings when he's being controlled by the chip and he shoots nuclear-style the Haven refuge. Just a stray life here and there. Is that a satisfactory enough course correction for the Riddler, despite the fact
No.
that he's being controlled by a mind chip like Spike and Buffy. That happened.
Oh, mind chips.
No, there should be no mind chips. What is with the mind chip?
What was with Hugo Strange?
Yeah.
Why was he working with the people? Just because science that he can exploit? That goes back to what I was saying about how they distilled all of the villains to one thing and exploited it. Hugo Strange is a mad scientist. Ha ha ha. He'll put chips in all their brains.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, we
what's
have our
his
crappy
specialty?
story.
Because like he starts out as like a psychiatrist.
Yeah,
and then
that's
all of a
what
sudden
I'm
he can make
confused.
mutants. He can bring people back from the dead. He can make really advanced brain computer chips.
I'm
Gosh,
surprised they didn't have him open a Chinese restaurant by the time we were
Yeah.
running
I mean,
them out
even
of
if they didn't want to
specialties he
read
had.
it, there's this thing called the internet now and like Wikipedia pages. Like you can at least try to put in
They
like
think
a
they're
little bit
smarter than that, though. They think they're smarter than the canon.
What? No.
When you have this good of a canon, you don't mess with it the way they did.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Something about Barbara Gordon, I'm sure. Batgirl.
Oh, yeah. Barbara
Do you want me to go to that one?
Whatever.
Barbara Lee Gordon.
Oh, was that?
What if Gotham was reframed as a Batgirl origin? Does that make
No.
it better?
No, because that's not a Batgirl origin. Don't pay attention to any of that crap.
This doesn't serve as an origin for anything in the
No,
Batman universe.
you
I
can't take that. If you really think that this is how it happens, and just we'll be there for you and we'll answer questions.
I just thought it either that or what if Gotham was reframed as the seed of romance between Bruce and Selena? Does that make it better?
Nope.
No, because it's still not right. Sorry,
Yeah.
big Catwoman fan here. No.
What if the Flash popped in and was like, oh, so this is Earth 57?
Would that make it better?
Yeah.
It's more like Earth minus 10.
I guess it's still the writing.
That's his question, not mine.
It's still the writing.
It's
They should have just showed the Monitor killing this universe.
my only
Everyone would've
positive
been
thing
like,
is that
that
I
would've
did
been
think though that like as she was being like pregnant, she was slightly less annoying.
Oh, I think the Barbara character was a less annoying.
Well,
this
she was
season.
I
little
think
less
they tried
annoying.
to redeem her on purpose.
Yeah,
I-
I
and
still
I-
was
and-
not like, but
I mean, if they had done like that weird triangle in the beginning without Barbara being like weird, annoying, and crazy in between, I might have been like, okay, this is all right to watch. Because now she all of a sudden was like, Haley, yeah, I am having Jim's baby. Can you still just be like my girl pal and my doctor, and I'll help you guys out? Because that's basically what ended up happening. I was kind of
But
okay
no,
with
they
it.
had to have her kill people in between and go completely crazy. And
Well,
for a
it
while
was-
they were trying to set
Or
her up
like
as
how
Harley
she was
Quinn.
in the last like
they
episode.
couldn't decide what
Yeah.
they were doing.
When
with it.
when
That's the
Batgirl was
problem.
older, Barbara was older, and she had the long red hair, and she was like an accomplished. Like, why couldn't they have just done that in the beginning? Like, I didn't understand.
Because they thought they were going to make her Harley
Do you
Quinn.
think they
They
had
did.
any consistent writers on staff?
I don't think any right.
But they made
don't know.
No. After a certain point, I don't think anyone wanted to stay.
It's like, I'm here for an episode because I got nothing to do this week.
or maybe they just threw maybe some like new people at it, or
Maybe it was the interns.
Yeah.
I, like I
Is there
don't
a
know.
5-year writing strike during this show?
Only on that lot.
Only on Warner Brothers.
Were you concluded with your rant?
I'm just my brain is going through all the
This
things
show
to
is a
rant
rant.
about. Yes.
Several characters,
I'm cycling.
including Nyssa and Jeremiah, refer to Jim Gordon as Bruce's father figure.
Weird.
What does that make Alfred?
Is-
It's Butler.
The guy that gets hurt anytime the plot requires it.
Which is every season.
Yeah, pretty much any time
A big
somebody
villain
needs
shows
to take
up.
one for
Again,
Bruce.
We
It
can't
makes
hurt.
sense
We can't
why-
hurt Bruce and put him
What
out
a
of
waste
commission.
of an
So
actor again.
Yeah, Sean Pertwee he acted very well in this show, but
He was great.
the material was garbage,
he puts in all the hard work, and somebody else gets a pennyworth show.
which nobody's watching.
No,
It's on Epix. Does anybody have Epix?
What
No.
is epic?
It's a deeply cable channel. Deep cable.
EPIX
Here's
as
the
well,
thing.
I believe.
Pennyworth is just that show. It's just a watered James Bond. It has nothing to do with Batman.
That's
at
what
all.
I thought it was
It's
going to
literally
be
just
when it
James
was pitched.
Yeah,
It's basically James Bond.
and they
but
basically,
not
I
really.
mean, it's SAS,
Yeah.
Special Forces Days,
Stop
etc. But come on.
But yeah, it's essentially
Do
he
a
teams up
Batman show.
Thomas Wayne, and
Do you
Thomas
know
Wayne sends
how
him on
much-
secret missions.
Like literally, how many people
Couldn't
would
it go
watch
on
it?
for like,
Yes.
I don't know, 30 seasons? If
Yes.
they were like,
Take the production values of Gotham, put in new writers, bring back some of the actors. You've got a good show.
Like DC and Warner Brothers, you are sitting on a gold mine.
Just
It's like they want to
put
share
somebody
it.
who knows in charge of it. Give Kevin
Oh.
Smith the keys to
Well,
Batman's
Jim Lee
Kingdom.
just got promoted. So.
Yeah,
And they
DC
wanna
fired like
s-
its top 3 people.
Well, that'll be good.
So now the comic book
Yes.
artist Jim Lee automatically woke up one morning and is in charge of this entire empire.
That's amazing.
And
Maybe
Jim
it'll
Lee,
be good.
Jim Lee
It
has
can't be
worked for
worse.
both companies and worked on very important times in comic modern history.
Warner is just so far behind because they're just saving it for movies. They don't see the benefit
Or
of
potential.
of where a lot of the
They could
better
create a
entertainment
movie
is.
universe by seeding it on the television, or
Or
vice
just
versa.
or just have both. I mean,
just
you
make
could
a really
have
good
both.
Batman show,
telling
and
you,
then when you want to
yes.
do a Justice League thing, it's that Batman and it connects. And
I
Like
would-
Disney's doing a Loki show and a Scarlet Witch show and a one with Anthony Mackie's Captain
Yeah.
version.
well, we'll see how all that turns out. I
Yeah.
feel like they're doing a lot at once, so that. Makes
Well, they're
me
coming
nervous.
out in stages though,
Yeah,
so
they're-
it's not really.
They're phasing their phase.
They're taking a breath until they can really reboot the movie universe.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's
But
filler.
I mean, they're gonna still expand. Like, I mean, again, not we're gonna talk about this, but I mean, I'm still legitimately. I mean, Wanda is a very important character in the Marvel universe. I'm very excited for that separate show, and really the Captain America and Winter Soldier show. I mean, those are important characters, and just like this, they could go on for a while if they wanted to.
If
There's
they do
lots of
them
material.
right.
Yeah, if
Which
they do
Marvel
them right.
has been doing them right. That's
So-
my biggest gripe with DC, which I think has such a rich history that for some reason in the last 10 years is maybe The Flash captures some of it, but outside of that, they just keep screwing
It's
it
gotten,
up.
but yeah, even that's gotten.
I mean, their
weaker
most
over
successful
time.
property, the Joker movie, is only
Is-
successful because they
Because
literally
didn't, and Wonder Woman.
they expected nothing from it. They took
And
the
the first
smallest
Wonder Woman
amount of money they could get,
They
and
didn't
they
care.
made it off by themselves.
Wonder Woman movie was, we don't care. We
Which
don't
it's
think
done.
a female-led movie is going to do well. Go ahead, do your thing. Boom. Huge
Yeah,
success.
let people actually care about the property do it, and suddenly you've got a successful film. But Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix have made buckets of money
Yeah.
off this because they basically bankrolled the film.
Oh yeah, their profit sharing thing is unheard of.
Yeah,
I mean, that movie
since
made over
Robert
$1
Downey
billion.
Jr. and
Yeah.
Iron Man.
It's madness.
How do you feel about Gotham's endpoint for Penguin and the Riddler despite their grandiose plans? Here's my criticism. So we end the 9th episode, or the
They just
11th
put them on
finish
hold
the
for 10
question?
years.
I know, I will. In the penultimate episode, they're talking about,
Let the
we're
show
going to
make it
have this city, blah, blah, blah. And then the next time we see them, they're in
They've been on
Arkham.
ice for 10 years,
Yes!
essentially.
They both
Everyone-
said, "I've been here." Like the second that second to last episode ended. It was-
So my
Everybody had to
question-
patiently wait for Batman to show up.
Yeah, we
My
can't do anything.
question
And the
is-
other thing is, if you don't know that he's Batman at this point, then you're really dumb.
I was like,
Well,
all these
that's the
people who've interacted with Bruce Wayne, they
Like,
don't
and-
know that he's Batman at this point in the show.
And also, are we to believe, so the Gotham City Police Department is not painted as the entirely most competent agency in the show. And that's part of the reason why Batman gets introduced in the story itself, is because there's too many crazy people for one police department, and Vigilante comes in.
Well, and they're
helps.
kind of corrupt in their own right, too.
And they're corrupt.
There's a
Yeah.
ton of corruption.
Yeah.
So are we to believe that the police department succeeds now with all of these villains in Arkham,
That's what's crazy.
and then they just release them?
No, they're just...
And now Batman
no.
needs to come.
I had to say, like, Riddler and Penguin didn't
Release the Kraken!
they didn't need to be locked up for 10 years.
They did not. That
After
was
you
stupid.
see 10 years later. It could have been, I've been in Arkham. They could have said for the past couple years.
No, this
It could
might
have
be
been
my
3 years.
primary
Well,
criticism on the whole show.
It
is
really-
this moment.
It really sucked the
fine.
sales out of, okay, this is the final episode, let's just get through it. And then they're running around like cartoons, and I expect Adam West to be chasing them with a big bomb that says the word bomb on it.
At least it would have said kapow and go.
It would have made more sense.
They were just bungling idiots, and I'm like, oh, now we need Batman.
Holy discontent,
We didn't.
Batman.
What? Yeah.
It was not good. But we do know why Penguin needs a monocle.
That's true.
They showed us that. That was worth it.
That is not what he knew.
It is now.
Don't listen to Nick. He's being sarcastic.
And how'd he gain his weight if he's in the insane asylum?
I know, he should have built his criminal empire.
How
Should have
did
been part
he
of the
gain his
problem
weight?
that they were
It
having.
looked
The
like
Gotham
a
police should
pillow.
have been having issues
Yeah, you
with.
didn't
He
look
just had, like, his chest gained weight. It was so weird.
Nick is on a thing. Like, when
Well,
you
they
go on a
put-
thing...
They put no money into that. They were basically like, screw it, it's the end.
Shove
Stuff
a
your
pillow
shirt.
up his
It
shirt.
became the worst costume after seeing Bane. That became the worst costume.
I mean, you saw the Batman suit, right?
It was
It
ridiculous.
did not bother me as much as Penguin.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with Nick. Because they didn't spend a lot of time lingering on the bat suit, so it was like,
And
okay,
it was
that wasn't
the right
great.
color.
It was the right...
Pink.
It had a bat on the
Which
chest.
I wouldn't have been surprised if it was pink.
Were there bat nipples? I
Oh.
didn't notice.
I think this is one of the things that
Maybe
got
he
me.
wasn't old enough for his nipples quite yet. He just got the actual...
But I have to agree with Nick. At least the 2 seconds of bat suit were slightly better than... I really wanted to love that moment, and I think Robin Lord Taylor must have had some glee in it, but geez.
Did you? Did you, Robin?
The top hat was nice. It was a nice top hat.
I also vaguely forget what this is from, but I remember being like, what the hell? When apparently it's a beacon for some winged mammals, the tech that the Wayne tech abandoned, that ended up saving them from a villain because bats attacked it immediately. But they couldn't call them bats because
No.
we might not know what it is, the only winged mammal.
But he already saw bats in a very anticlimactic moment last season.
Yes.
It was bad, is what I'm saying.
That is also the worst thing of the whole show. The
It
one
was-
thing that they had to get right.
Was the bats.
The bats! That's why he becomes Batman.
There's so many WTFs.
That's like, you know, the thing.
Yeah, the bats.
And then somehow Richard Kind was mayor again.
Yeah,
10
well,
years
as much
later.
as I literally was like, oh, I like Richard Kind. Wait, this doesn't make sense.
No,
Why would
he
he be
was
that?
already
Did he
there.
age?
I
He's
thought
already
he
old.
died.
Yeah, I thought he'd been killed.
I thought he got killed.
Is it a clone?
What was it? Azrael? I thought had killed him.
No,
wasn't
I
it?
don't think he did. I'm pretty sure he didn't die. But
I just
why
don't
would that
care.
character be mayor of that
Why
town
would
again?
any... Yeah, he
When
was
it's gotten
corrupt and
worse?
horrible.
Who voted
I mean, he was
for
so
him?
bad. He was so bad they were gonna make Penguin.
The
So
mayor.
it's like,
In a crib of Gotham... Batman Returns.
And again, I still love Richard Kind, but it was
He's
weird.
enjoyable. It was terrible. It was just terrible. Second question. Cameron B. Condova allegedly chose not to portray her adult self in Gotham, so they brought in Lily Simmons. What did you think of her? The Batman was played by a stuntman. We never saw his face. He just has the voice.
I did feel like that actor playing a grown-up Selena Kyle looked like a grown-up version of that actor.
And that's the best thing we can say about the final season.
It was like a slight, again, like, I think they just had Batman Returns in the back of their mind. And the way that Selena acts, though, in that whole time isn't really bright at all. Again, like, even the cheesiness of, like, okay, Bruce is back and he's, like, stalking her all around Gotham, and then, like, he shows up behind her on the rooftop, and she's just, like, being so damselly and just, like, you just left without saying anything. Like, that's just, for the most part, that's not how Selena's going to react to that at all. Like, at all. There's just so many parts of, I mean, she was okay, but it's just, like, everything around it was just so dumb, it didn't matter.
I think I'm willing to forgive some of the very end because there was no time for them left to do anything about it.
And
It was
whose
just
fault
like,
was that?
Well, it's theirs from the beginning, but I'm willing to forgive a little bit of the end because they needed to end, you know?
And
Okay, I don't.
They had to end what they made.
I don't.
Yeah.
Because there was no way they could do an ending that we would think do it justice.
There was never going to be any
because
satisfaction
they
at this
destroyed,
point.
they blew out the whole foundation on the way to the end.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to end it the way whatever their story was, they had to end
can't
that.
imagine they gave him a whole lot of a budget either.
No.
Well, they're just like, here are these, like,
You saw the paint.
you know, the bombs underneath the thing, and they're all, like, figuring out, like, any one of those people would have figured that out on their own immediately. You know what I'm talking about? The bombs underneath, like, the model thing.
Yes, and the series finale.
Oh, yeah.
It's so lame. Like, everyone's like, what?
No,
Oh,
I
yeah,
remember.
I feel
The
like they
boys
thought it
all-
was clever that it was connected to what? Was it Jeremiah or the other one?
all
the
garbage.
other
Does that mean?
one?
Jeremiah?
Because it was his maze type
Jeremiah.
thing.
It was Jeremiah.
That
They
they
were
were-
trying to frame Ed, but it was Jeremiah.
Yeah, I feel
Which
like
is why would okay? I mean, the villains have their competition, but why would he? Frame?
Well,
Oh, yeah.
the
He
trouble-
did mock him in the asylum, but that always happens.
One of the
So-
problems you have for the villains is they really didn't have anybody to go against.
No.
That's a massive plot hole for the entire Batman universe, is not having a Batman when you've got the villains.
Right. And they could have set it up as a competition, but they didn't set up the individuals very well, so how could they possibly have
No,
competed?
he was just there in the background, stalking people. I did like that moment where she flipped into, like, you know, she, like, stole the diamond. That was kind of okay. Where she, like, flipping through the lasers and then does her little thing.
That was Selena Kylie,
Yeah.
but I felt like they were ripping off the movie Entrapment with Sean Connery and Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Well, I mean, one could argue that movie was ripping off. I'm just saying, either way, it was kind of Selena-y for a moment. I'm trying to find a positive, right?
I got nothing left but hate.
So now we'll proceed.
there's nothing left but
Now we're going to.
it's turned us all into Batman villains.
We're going to transition into the looking back portion. Although we've done
are you
some
done with your question portion?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, unless
I
there's
think we're
something
done
else.
with that question.
Yeah, I think you're done. I'm a moderator. I can sense the sensitivity in the room. Okay. So now I need you to answer, because I think sometimes I leave this out there for people to answer. I don't push it. This time I'm pushing it. In Gotham, who in the end could be your favorite character or characters and why? Who was your least favorite characters and why? Who did they get right? Who did they get wrong? Or was it just all one or the other?
I mean,
And you're all going to have to answer.
Penguin, Riddler were my favorite to watch, so those would be my favorite. I didn't care for Barbara, so she's probably my least favorite. Did I do it?
You did.
Are we talking over the whole...
However you want to answer it.
Alright, so I will say, in a lot of ways, my favourite character ended up being Harvey Bullock.
Oh,
I thought that he was the most grounded character in the show, with probably one of the better story arcs throughout the entire thing. And I gotta say, my least favourite was Fish Mooney. Period. It was just so weird. Such a horrible, horrible character from beginning to end.
Penguins eat fish? I don't know. Is that what they're going for?
Only Danny DeVito's penguin ate the fish. And it was gross.
If I had to say, I would say Scarecrow. He's the only one that actually had his comic accurate arc of, like, him being a small, sickly, scared kid, and the costume was great, and they actually did right by him. For me, the biggest insult is Mr. Freeze. I love that character, and I still don't think he's been done justice either. He's a great character.
You didn't like the Arnold Schwarzenegger version?
The only thing that's ever gotten him right is the animated series.
Yes.
He should be this very elegant, very Shakespearean villain. He's not evil.
The animated series.
He's not evil. He doesn't hold grudges against people. He's just doing what he has to do, and he's a very different character than the rest of Batman's rogues gallery. And this show introduced him and automatically made him a very cheesy, gimmicky henchman.
They did that with a lot of them.
Yeah.
What the heck? They had so much time. Never mind. So we're just
We already
rehashing.
went down that path.
Yeah.
Don't do it again yourself.
It's almost like they just got a list of villains and did what they wanted with them rather than doing any research whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just went off, like I said, I think the little bits and pieces that they made.
So now
us
Hillary
watch.
has to answer the question.
Poison Ivy.
Hillary loved all the poison ivies. Ivy Peppa.
Jesus. I just okay.
Even Jesus couldn't say this.
I like the Harvey answer. I like that. I will say parts of Selena just because I just feel loyal to that. I will say I like bits and pieces of them all. I would really, if I could just say like the first season versions of them, and then I would be fine. And yeah, like easily Fish Mooney and Barbara Keene are my least favorite characters. They just were just so painful to watch. It gives me, like, we kind of like crapped on Luke Cage a lot, but I would watch that in a heartbeat over having to watch those characters.
So if they did a Fish Mooney Barbara spinoff, you're not there.
No, I'm first in line.
Only if they pay the way that Luke Cage.
So, was that it? Oh, yeah, but no, did they get any of it right? No.
She's very sassy. I would say I'm going to give parts of the Riddler because, like, you're loyal to Selena. the Riddler is my favorite across all.
I love the Riddler too. He's just not right. Sorry, Corey Michael Smith. Right?
But I like
Yes.
him, and I liked moments, so I would say the Riddler. And I would also say the same for the Penguin. Penguin is not my favorite Batman villain. However, when Robin Lord Taylor and the writing meshed together, it was a good Penguin. Didn't
Early
always
Penguin
happen.
in this was better than late Penguin.
Yes, agreed. Very much so.
First season.
My least favorite characters were Fish Mooney and Poison Ivy. I think Poison Ivy was insulting. It was
I would
just
agree with that.
incredibly.
She was.
She's
I
not
couldn't-
even my favorite. Like, I don't care for Poison Ivy as, like, I don't think she's one of my favorites, but that was terrible Poison Ivy. Just terrible.
It's again taking the dimension from a character.
Right. One.
They were
One
all
dimension.
intelligent.
Like
They all had their
Yeah.
reasons for doing things. In this show,
Pamela's insanely intelligent.
almost all of these
She's
villains
too
are,
intelligent.
I'm bad because I've been described as a villain by people who've read it. Like, they just were villains.
I'd lump in Mr. Freeze, too, because that one was insulting, too. For the same reasons.
I mean,
Most of them
Solomon
were.
Grundy was just ridiculous.
Well, that was pretty good.
I mean, that one had kind of a good uphill, and then it just went
No.
sharply downhill.
Yeah, it started well. Like a lot of these actually.
That was just a
started
character there's no
No.
way you could pull off with their budget.
Well. But Poison Ivy and Freeze didn't start well, whereas a lot of the others started well, but about half
Right.
an episode in, they took a sharp turn and fell off a cliff.
They seriously did not understand the characters of Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy. They didn't even base it on the movie with Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy, which wasn't good either, but at least that was like 10% closer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
No, I mean,
Look,
in
I can't help the puns.
in all
I
seriousness,
said 10%!
at least the Arnold Schwarzenegger, you had moments of him, like, doing this for his wife. And I don't feel like, yeah, Mr. Freeze was just...
We
He was,
need a
killing, he
henchman.
was killing people before his wife was even dead.
Yeah, what the heck?
Yeah.
It was it didn't, yeah.
Not to mention we got Bizarro Bruce at one point.
That was terrible.
I wiped that out of my memory.
Sorry to bring it back.
I mean, they did that. I actually had that as a point where they brought in a lot of characters that shouldn't have been so easy to get rid of, number one, and should never have been introduced so early, number two. So whether that's Solomon Grundy or Ra's al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul, the Court of Owls, whatever the hell Bizarro Batman guy,
They introduced and killed so many villains before Batman became Batman.
Azrael.
Azrael is a big deal, and that was just too easily handled and blown to
At
bits
least they
with a rocket
didn't
launcher.
kill Baby Bane.
Oh, the Executioner was bad, right?
Oh, yeah, well...
There were so many bads.
All of
Yeah.
it was bad, dude.
That was tragic because they wasted Michael Chiklis.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Another bad costume.
It's just not good. So,
Yeah, he hasn't had a lot of luck in the comic book world.
no, wait.
Sorry.
He was
man.
the thing.
Yeah, that was
That's part of the reason.
That was not one
I
of
know.
Marvel's better.
I mean, that was really
goes.
Fox.
That was Fox.
It wasn't really Marvel.
True.
Which Fox is
Valid.
also the company that had this property. Huh.
But
Called
Fox,
distribution
And
rights.
X-Men.
but that Fox doesn't really exist anymore now that it's owned by Disney.
Good.
So I know you're all saying the writers did not correct anything. So what I'd like you to do is grade Gotham at the end, or rank it according to the star business, as Hillary calls it, whatever
D-minus.
you want. And explain your feelings. It is a podcast.
So on the star rating level,
Holy smokes.
what's the lowest we're allowed to give?
1.
I'm going half. Because I'm just difficult.
That is true.
It does not deserve a full star.
No.
It really
No.
doesn't. I mean, even with the half star is for the moments in the early season that showed promise, and just because it's a Batman property, kinda. I really cannot say enough negative about this show by the end of it. It was painful.
I have to agree. Here's why I agree. If you're a Batman fan and that would be a reason to watch, oh, I really like the Riddler, let's see what they do. You don't have to. You could go to the source material. There's no
Or
good
the
payoff.
animated series.
Yeah.
I could write a
Or anyone like
haiku
that.
that would be better than this damn thing.
There's just no good payoff for anything.
Spencer's metaphors, hashtag.
So that's the problem. The few moments they've gotten right, which are very few, over 100 episodes, they ruin those moments by continuing to write about them. Don't watch it.
No, I mean,
Watch it. Yeah.
for a true Batman fan, this whole thing is an insult. For somebody who knows that there's a Batman out there
I
and
mean,
watches
really,
it, it's
It's
not
an
even
insult
good
for anybody
TV,
with half
period.
a brain who can put things together in a pattern.
It's bad. I was hopeful. I was probably the one at the most like, okay, but it's not the Riddler we know. But it's still poor writing, not a good payoff. I don't know. The good actors, they're working other places. Watch them there.
So you're half star too?
Sure.
You're quarter star.
It really... yeah, all my hope from the other seasons, because I feel like I'm the one who did not rail
Had
on
the
it as
least
much.
amount. Well, you had less investment, which I mean that's fair.
It's still not, from this perspective, it's not worth it. There's too much other stuff to watch. It sounds like you should just watch Smallville instead.
The description that goes with
Smallville
1
is
star.
excellent.
The description that goes with 1 star is pass on this one, guys. It's a snoozer. It's not fun. It's a waste of time. There's too many options to watch.
Yeah, okay, so that's
That sounds
accurate.
like 1 star.
Sure. Yes,
It's worse
that.
than that.
It's worse than
Yeah,
that.
it is. Yeah,
It's a half star.
Are you a half star too?
sure. Just because now we've created a thing.
Somebody else has set the precedent. It's fine.
I am interested to see if Arrow gets a half star or a full star.
Garbage.
That's
Don't
what
give
the
us something, a
CCTV
reason to
series.
listen.
You're
to that episode.
at this point, I would say you are comparing chalk and cheese. At least with Arrow, there is some semblance of.
There's a story there.
There's more of a story there. This doesn't. This is a mess. This is a story thrown into a washing machine, and then what fell out with dog hair is.
That one got away from you.
No, the washing machine was so bad that it put dog hair in everything.
Okay, fair. It's just bad.
Man bat.
Kyle,
Don't
where are you?
1 star.
Oh, that's
So you
forgiving.
like
Oh.
Well, I mean, there's still things like I like Donald
Scarecrow was
Logie
good.
or whatever. I like.
Donald Logue.
Yeah, I love him. He's great. He's the only one that had an
Yeah,
arc
Harvey-
and stayed
Harvey was
consistent in
fine.
his portrayal.
If you'd made this
So-
the Harvey Dent story and cut all
yes.
the other crap out, you could have actually had a decent show.
Yeah.
It
So
would've been
it's like I like him,
fine.
and there's a couple other good performances. But yeah, any Batman fan, I'd say just steer clear. There's so much other Batman material out there now. All of it better than this.
Hey, did you also feel like Ben McKenzie had just given up?
Yes.
Yeah.
He
Well,
was phoning
because
it in.
along the way, you
He's
know.
like, hey, at least I
That
got Marina
Gordon-
Bach
Yeah.
out of the whole
Yeah.
deal.
I was gonna say because they eventually, obviously, like hooked up, and then they had their thing, and now they have babies, and like
was that Gordon?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ben McKenzie.
We didn't mention Gordon's dream, which was such a horrible episode.
Oh my gosh,
That was
it
the worst episode of the
Oh,
season.
and then he
bad.
does like
It's
a bad
so
Atticus
weird.
Finch impression when he's a lawyer. I hated it.
I think what we're saying is that we think he did too.
Oh yeah.
He collected the paycheck. He just showed up every day.
I mean, they were probably contracted to finish it and all of that jazz.
I wonder if there was like something he had to turn down because he was stuck in this.
Oh.
And that.
This might be a career
Ben
killer.
McKenzie, you were like said, no, don't let that happen. People who hire actors, like he's good, he's good, and so is Miranda, and so is everybody else. But
Yeah,
yeah,
there's a lot
and
of
it's
good
sad
actors in
too.
this show.
Like
That's
I would
what
like
makes
to,
this so
you know
sad.
what? I would like to know what she thinks because she's a big nerd.
Marina?
Yeah, she's into all this stuff. That's part of the reason why she so badly wanted to be on the show. That's why she's in the Deadpool movie. That's why
That's why she voiced Gideon in The Flash. She's
Yes.
obsessed with comic books.
she is a nerd, which is another reason for us
She
nerds
still
to
wants
love
to
her.
Hot nerd.
Well, she
Hell
still
yeah,
wanted.
she's on my girl list.
She still.
I'm just.
I mean,
She's
She's on my girl list
every
too.
episode.
Really?
She really has
I
said
feel
this
like I've
every
heard the
episode.
phrase "girl list."
She's girl crushes is I think the phrase she
Like
used
you don't have
before.
a guy crush? Yeah, like Scott Bakula. Guy crush.
That's Sarah's.
Oh, who's your guy crush?
I don't have a guy crush.
You don't have a bromance crush?
No.
Like a guy that you just admire so much that you're like, yeah, I can see
It's
it.
the yeah part. I mean,
Like,
there's-
come on, Kyle, say yours.
I guess I was because of
Nathan
the
Fillion.
word.
Huh?
Nathan Fillion's mom.
Oh, see? Exactly. That's a great example. I'm on that. Good job, Spencer. Nathan Fillion. That's a
He's
good
on your girl list.
No,
No.
he's like
Don't.
he's my non-sexual
deflect.
guy crush.
Nathan Fillion is off limits for that kind of talk.
Just think about it and get back to us. Anyways, I would
nobody
like to
on
know.
this show is your
This
guy
derailed.
crush.
This was derailed, but I really would like to know how she ultimately felt once everything was said and done.
Marina,
said
if
that.
you're out there, tweet at us. CPU
What?
I
Podcast.
said you said that.
Oh,
feel like the derailment happened.
Or
after
somebody
that.
tweeted her to
We
listen.
should tweet at her with this episode link saying, hey, we mentioned you in the last 5-10 minutes. Can you answer the question?
Don't listen to that.
For
Don't
the
listen to the
record-
rest of it, just for yourself.
Yeah.
But-
For the record, I would give it 1.5 stars because I can't give it 1.
What's 1.5 mean?
It's between chances are I was mainly bored and pass on this one, guys. I'm giving it the half star for the moments. And because I just can't, it's
So you're
hard
giving
for
it
me
a
to
half
give
star for the same reason I gave it a half star, but you're giving it a full extra star?
Yeah, that's
Compared to you,
literally,
yes.
That's what you just said.
Did you Harvey Dent this and flip a coin? And
Perhaps. And it came up heads. Not the one with the scratches.
The reference was 100% more Two-Face reference than we ever got.
That happens. Did you have any favorite seasons?
No. The first one. The first one is my favorite because I felt like
I would say season 2, which was when
No.
we got
Yeah.
the Penguin Riddler
for me the
buddy
first
cop.
I
Less
don't care
Fish
about that.
Mooney.
Okay, fair enough, but I still like the first season better. Because really, Fish Mooney is still a lot in all of it. So really, to me, the first season is the most.
I was like the
watchable.
first season where there's more crime and like Victor Zsasz when I thought it was going to be a slow build up because season 2 like jumped off with that Rise of the Villains and had all those weird mutants.
So
in
it was already
so it was already like an
season
X Men.
Yeah, it
That was like
already-
an X Men
End of
ripoff.
season 2 was the mutants.
Right.
Yeah.
So
The
it was
first part of
already
season
bad and
2
it was already
was
disjointed.
And I
Riddler
had
and Penguin and
I
And
had
we
so
were
much hope
forgiving
in the
it.
first season, and like I
Yeah.
thought they were slowly seeding the Riddler. Well, I thought they were slowly building up Penguin's criminal empire, and I had hope beyond the terribleness of Fish Mooney.
I wonder how much that was their intention, that slow build, and then they were like, ratings aren't high enough, throw in a freeze.
Yeah,
Well, me.
They said it like
Was
like
that
a nice
ice
with a cigar
throw.
sticking out of her mouth.
Throw in a free.
Boss, people don't like to freeze.
Can it age the plant girl?
what's happening?
Probably
They're
exactly
acting
what
out a
happened in the boardroom of Warner Brothers when they were talking about this with Fox.
This has just become Mad TV, Gotham style. I only give season 2 just because I felt hope and promise back in season 2. I mean, it was dashed hopes and promise, but that first half was kind of cool.
Was that when they brilliantly gave Fish Mooney the gills?
That was in the second half of season 2.
See,
That was
Whatever. Season 2 was all a ripoff anyway. It was garbage.
my feelings are valid.
Your feelings are valid.
What about this series finale? Was it a proper send-off for our
No.
characters?
No.
Nope.
I'm trying to think of one character that it
Nope.
might have been a proper send-off for.
No, he stood at the top of the building, right? Oh, they showed the bat signal again.
Without a bat on it. though.
Yeah.
It was just
They
a light.
They like walked up
We have
and
a-
remember this whole thing? Like, it's just been sitting here a while. Like, I'm like, it was so unnatural. Everything about it was very
Like bald
unnatural.
Joker.
Yeah, burnt bald Joker.
They legally
They
wouldn't
couldn't
allow him to
even
have
put-
green hair. They said Warner Brothers said that any version of Joker on the show couldn't have green hair.
So put a wig that's not green on him. Jeez.
Purple's fine.
Yeah, why couldn't they have just done purple? I don't understand. I don't get it.
If any of you,
Warner Brothers, stop.
if Warner Brothers, DC Comics, or anybody
Disney
on the
should buy
Gotham writer
They
staff
should.
is listening to this
I'm fine with
episode, please tweet at us. We'd love to interview you. We've had questions for years.
They're gonna
If
tweet
Disney bought
death threats
DC,
at us.
they cross Marvel and DC properties
Cease and
over.
desist.
Awesome.
Do you think Gotham will hold up with the passage of time? Was it time
No.
for it to go? Would you have
Yes.
watched more seasons or should it have ended sooner?
No, yes,
No,
no.
that's not the standard time. No, it wasn't time for it to go because that was 3 years ago.
So it should have ended sooner.
Yes. Exactly.
Everybody
It
agrees?
should.
Yeah.
This is the most unanimous spicy panel I've ever been on.
Yeah, we're all spicy, but in total agreement.
But I would follow the showrunner. No, I just...
That was my next question.
Yeah, down a dark alley to kill him like Bruce's parents.
Bruno Heller also created
Fine.
HBO's Rome and CBS's The Mentalist. Have you watched his past projects? Would you watch them or future projects after watching Gotham?
I would say he knows nothing about comic books, so stay away from that genre altogether, please and thank you.
I also feel like he let a lot of bad writing and story arcs happen.
Yeah, well, because he clearly didn't give a...
That overall has to be
I wouldn't
big
really say
problem.
anybody was running this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did not credit him as showrunner. They just credited him as creator.
I think he went to the network, said, here's a great idea. They said, okay, we'll put your name on it. And he's
He
like,
probably
well,
wrote
wait
the pilot. The
Yeah.
creator usually writes the pilot.
I don't think he was involved with it after season 1.
probably
Well,
not.
that makes me not hate him. And by hate, I mean I'm indifferent about other things he's done instead of I would hold this against him. Because I don't hold the idea against him.
No, actually, the idea in it, before it actually happened, seemed decent.
The idea had promise. They changed the idea. I have not been drawn to watch Rezmer the Mentalist in the past. This does not change my mind.
Same.
And
Well, The
I agree
Mentalist-
with Hillary's statement. If
Mentalist
he's drawn
just-
to comic books again, steer clear.
The Mentalist seemed like a really cheesy rip-off of Psych, which was on USA Channel.
It seemed like
for
they were
good
trying to
number
like a
of years.
higher brow version.
Yeah, they were trying to do a highbrow version of Psych, and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
Depending on when he dropped out, he may or may not know a lot about comics. Because if he was gone mid-season 2, then that's really when it was getting bad anyway. So it might not have been his fault.
Yeah, who knows?
But Kyle saying that there wasn't a showrunner makes a lot of sense.
I would be surprised, or there was, but it was a season by season,
Yeah.
not a consistent.
Nobody that
also
stayed or
makes
was
sense.
invested in the creativity of the show. They were just like guns for hire, and then like, okay, move on to another show. Like it was like just like their filler job while they were looking for something they cared about.
I mean, you can almost, by comparison, you can almost mark Supernatural's eras by their change in showrunners because it's literally been 5, 5, and 5.
It's just so weird because I bet there would have been like, I don't know, 1,000 people with any talent or creativity that would have been like, I will make Batman my life to create an amazing story.
And then they probably read the contract that says you can't use any of the actual
Yeah,
Batman
yeah, yeah.
characters
Yeah.
whatsoever. And went, "Yes." But that's how I would react to that contract.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's
Yeah,
like, yeah,
that's
you
true.
get handed something Batman, and then Warner Brothers hands you this huge, thick Bible of things you cannot touch or mention.
Which
Warner
is pretty much
Brothers.
everything in the
yeah,
Batman
which is like
universe.
everything interesting.
Warner Brothers, I'm here to tell you, we've had many conversations about you.
Well, Kevin Sujihara is
Yes.
never going to work again, and he's the one that created that Bible of things they couldn't do.
What they really need to do is sell off DC to somebody that cares about it. That cares about its rich
Yeah.
But
history.
Jim Lee heads it now.
But he's still also under a board ran by like AT&T or something. Whoever bought,
18.
it's like some corporate,
Yikes.
whoever bought Warner Brothers.
Corporate overlords
Yeah.
can't stand them.
Okay, would you follow any of the individual ensemble main cast actors from Gotham to any past or future TV project? Of course, I list examples of their main role credits, but I've seen some of these in recurring roles and such. Would you follow any of these actors to any past or future project? Why or why not?
I followed David Moretz. I thought he was really good in his first show.
Mazouz.
Mazouz, how you pronounce his name.
On Touch
Touch, was that the one where he played the autistic kid?
with Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah,
that
that-
one was a really good show.
That was a good show, and it didn't get enough time. I didn't think
It
he
had a
was
really
bad
good
in this
finish.
show. I just don't think they wrote this show well enough for him.
No, he was well cast. I liked him.
Yeah, I would follow Sean Pertwee. Obviously, everyone likes Morena and Donnell Logue. But outside of that, maybe the Riddler. It depends on what it is. It has to be good subject material.
I would really follow Robin, Corey, David, because I already did, kind of. I knew he was going to be on, and I was like, oh, that's the kid from Touch. He's a
Yeah.
great actor.
That's what I thought.
Donald Logue, he's been in a lot of things, and I always enjoy him, but I don't necessarily, I'm not necessarily drawn to something because he's in it.
No,
I
when
would
he
be-
shows up, though, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I would be interested in possibly following Sean Pertwee, though. I mean, he's a discovery that I made with this show. He's done UK TV by the scores, but this is like his first
His
major...
dad was a doctor.
That's true.
Number 3.
Number 3. This is his first real American project, so it'd be interesting to see what he does going
He
forward.
was believable as an ex-British Special Forces military character.
He was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, he handled both the emotional relationship and the physical action hero-y type stuff. I would watch him in other stuff.
I mean, he's in one of my favorite movies, Dog Soldiers, a British action horror movie that's really amazing, and he's amazing in that. So I'd watch
follow
anything.
him?
Yeah.
Anybody?
I mean, I like a lot of the actors, but yeah, it would just depend on what they were doing, you know? Because as we pointed out many times, Nick already said it for this one, it's such a saturated market, and you're never sure what you're going to get into, but you kind of have to pick and choose. No one has time for all of it, so it would really just depend on what it was. And, sometimes, too, it's just like, again, some word of mouth, if I haven't caught it myself first. But I have no reason to not follow the actor. They're the only part about it that I could tolerate.
They
So.
were the good part. Even Erin Richards got better. It's not her fault they wrote Barbara crazy.
Sure.
I didn't like
She
her.
didn't act it badly. Nobody
No.
acted the roles badly. There wasn't any
And I didn't
bad
like her at
acting.
first, but I'm
Second
putting
Poison
improved
Ivy.
and
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
second Poison Ivy.
well, really,
Anyway.
I think all of the Poison Ivies because I also.
Well,
like
I was giving
Liz.
Peyton some slack because I like her as the voice of Poison Ivy in the cartoon
She also
movies.
didn't do much.
I've seen her in other things. I also don't like her as the Romulan. So, she's the Romulan sister of the
she is?
Tel'Shar. Yeah. On Star Trek Picard is what we're talking about. I don't like her there either. I just don't like her. I think she's very wooden. I think she gets hired because fits a body type, basically, personally.
You're not wrong.
I tell it like I sees it. Here's the $1 million question. Don't be loud about it. Would you recommend Gotham?
If you had two choices, one of them was watching Gotham and the other one was a colonoscopy prep, I would take the colonoscopy prep and still get the same result as the writers pumped out from the show.
I think our
That's
star.
a graphic metaphor.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, the use of the word pumped.
I thought about that one about 15 minutes ago, so I've been storing it.
Emphasis.
I'm not following that.
I mean, I feel like our star ratings pretty much say that we would never recommend this to people.
I wouldn't.
I would never recommend anything.
I can't recommend it to
I can't
anyone
in good
who's
conscience.
into it. I can't recommend it to anyone who's not into the universe. Like,
It's not a good story.
it's a bad show. It's just a bad show.
I am very far behind on the Marvel movies. Instead of watching this season, I could have watched 5 of those movies, and I didn't.
You will. You can. There's still time.
You can do it!
Gotta finish Arrow.
It's on Disney Plus. Okay.
Arrow's not on Disney.
It's
No,
on-
the
it's on
Marvel
Netflix.
movies are. So no one would recommend it. What a footnote. Any parting shots or final words
No, I think I summed it up.
with your
With my
colonoscopy
colonoscopy
metaphor?
prep metaphor.
Sure.
We've said it all.
I mean, I'm just hopeful that the Matt Reeves Batman can redeem this bad taste in my mouth.
The Witch Batman?
Matt Reeves, the new Batman movie.
With the sparkly Batman?
Yes.
With Mr. Twilight? With Cedric Diggory?
I just
Kyle has
don't
been
know.
defending Robert Pattinson. He's not into Twilight.
No,
by
I
any means.
trust Matt Reeves. He's a huge comic book fan. Like, he's obsessive. He's throwing everything he
I
puts out
agree
there
with-
about this new movie and then he puts it right next to a picture from the comics. Like, he is trying so hard to steer it in the right direction.
Including the new Batmobile?
Yes.
Okay.
That's straight
That's
from the
it,
comic
yeah.
book, yeah.
Okay.
Because Batman's car should be able to fit in the side. People have problems with it because it looks like a regular car. Well, it's supposed to. He's not supposed to mostly blend in, but with a jet engine hidden in it, so he can actually. All the other Batmobiles are ridiculous. There's no
Yeah,
way you
they
can
are.
turn that thing in a city. They're 30
are.
feet long. So this new one, and people are dogging on it because it looks
Well,
like a
like we were
regular
talking
car,
about the
but
other
it
day.
should be inconspicuous at night
Yeah,
and
like
dark.
when you go back and you think about some of like those other adaptations, again, like the Val Kilmer Batman with his like zebra stripes on it,
and the glowy
and, like,
spinny thingy.
yeah,
and-
like it,
Oh,
they're
Schumacher.
Yeah.
so ridiculous, and
Yeah.
That's because
Even-
Schumacher.
But lights
even
on
the
it.
Tim Burton, like the Michael Keaton original, which I'm assuming that all of us love that movie. That Batmobile is just, I mean, it's like.
It's
had a
seriously like
grappling
40 feet.
It drove
It's
up
It's a
the building.
stretch limo.
Yeah.
It's accentuated for the big screen.
No.
Yes!
No.
Yes.
It's literally like that. It's Tim Burton accentuated for the big
The
screen.
problem with the
Tim
original
Burton
Batman
accentuated
movie is they
But-
killed the Joker.
Well,
Yeah.
That's
but he
wrong.
could have still, if they wanted to keep going.
They dropped him 200 feet from a clock tower.
The Joker has done some weird shit. I'm just
It wasn't the Joker, it was his twin brother.
Yeah, it was Jerome.
As I was saying, like, I have hopes for the new movie because it seems like they really care about the characters. The people they cast as the Riddler and everything are good actors.
I hope so. The casting of Robert Pattinson really makes me take a pause.
It might be fine.
Although a lot of people thought that Ben Affleck would be terrible, and he really wasn't.
He wasn't.
It wasn't terrible. It was all the
it,
creatives
again, it
behind
was
it.
all the writing and creatives
Yeah, I mean,
behind
I
it.
actually found him quite believable. He wasn't doing
And,
a strong
he
Boston
just-
accent, which is good. So it wasn't.
He just
Batman's
really
fucking awesome.
Ben Affleck just really let loose in an interview about everything that happened behind the scenes of that Justice League.
Like,
it's a fascinating
He
read.
basically implied that it like drove him back to his alcoholism.
Well, you have to remember, he filmed 2 whole movies. They filmed 2 Justice League movies, and Warner Brothers literally threw one in the trash.
Yeah.
Isn't that...
Which is
Here's
indicative
all
of this
this
show.
stuff you can't do because we're going to make these amazing movies that people will come see these characters in the movies. We don't want to muddle that up, but we'll throw half of the movie away.
They just make so many bad choices. Like Jared Leto as a Joker. So many things wrong.
He was
What
mad
was the question?
too. He was mad that they went on to do that.
If you
That's
had any
hilarious.
parting
Oh, yeah.
thoughts or final
Parting
words
thoughts
on
is-
Gotham.
Yeah. We're going down the DC sucks it rabbit hole at the moment.
Yes! Which you've done at least
Warner
6
Brothers.
times. this episode.
No.
And all throughout this series.
No.
That's
It
because
has-
this show is just you don't want to talk about it.
I guess my parting thought is I'm literally glad the show's over, and
I don't
think I'll think about it again. I'm hoping.
Well, that's what I was saying. I was
I'll
like, the
never watch
show,
it again.
nobody, it's like, this last season ended and everyone collectively wiped it out of their memory. Like, nobody talks
There's
about
no
it.
buzz,
No
there's no chat,
mentions.
there's
There's nothing.
That means the best ending of would have been what's his face erasing that universe from existence.
Oh, it's just so sad.
The
Once-
Guardian, right?
The Anti-Monitor.
Yeah, that's the ticket.
That's for the DCTU series, which you're all already on. Anything else?
Listen
you
to
wanna
those
say?
episodes.
Coming soon
you
to a
can listen to
podcast near
this.
you.
You don't have to have watched Gotham.
That's true. You'll get a pretty decisive flavor of people's feelings just listening to these episodes. Is there anything else you want to say about Gotham Season 5 or Gotham in general?
No.
Could you take the microphone and hold it by a toilet and flush it?
No.
'Cause that would be a good end.
I could just insert a sound effect. I
Yeah.
don't have to do all that.
All right, do that.
She's like, I don't want to drop it in there.
Because I want to flush
Well,
this
it's also
thing and
a lot
never
of
think
work.
about
You
it
can easily get a toilet flushing sound effect.
again. Do it.
Okay, well, since we're talking about flushing toilets, what I'd like to do now is thank Spencer, Nick, Hillary, and Kyle for persevering with me to watch Gotham all 5 seasons. Did I say it right? Spencer, Nick, Hillary, and Kyle? Okay. Well,
You
since...
just said, since we're talking about flushing toilets and then mentioned our names. Is that how you feel about us, Kylie?
That's the joke, Spencer!
That I just ruined? Yeah.
Yes! So, since we've ruined jokes, just roll the credits.
Yes, leave this in. Don't edit it.
Well, I'm not taking... Not that part. Jeez, Louise. Anyway.
No, her name is Hillary, not Louise.
Yikes.
Since you've ruined the joke, just roll the credits. Couch Potatoes Unite! Exclamation Point was produced by Back Pocket Productions, run by yours truly, the Chief Couch Potato, which is really another way of saying executively produced by me, Kylie Piette. My associate producers are Krista Pennington and Selene Rezmer. I edit this podcast, and our logo is by Rebecca Wallace. Our marketing graphic artist is Krista. Our theme song was written by Sarah Milbratz and sung by Sarah, Amy McDaniel, and Kelsey Rezmer. Kelsey played the keyboard, Ian McDonough played the bass, Christian Somerville played the guitar, and the whole kit and caboodle was engineered and produced by Kyle Aspinall and Christian. We hail from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Please, if you like what you hear, take the time to rate us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or Google Play, or wherever you find your podcasts. Give us stars, give us comments, give us reviews. Let us know how we're doing. Send us a message. We might just read it on the podcast. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what we should keep, what we should toss. You know how it goes. And if you have suggestions on shows we might consider, contact us at our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, where we have a guest book, by email at couchpotatoesunitepodcast@gmail.com, or via our social media, Facebook, Twitter at CPU Podcast, and Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite. Though, of course, we add new and old shows to chat about around the water cooler all the time. We always have several more new episodes coming down the pike. Just listen to our intros, and if you miss old episodes or want to know in general what we cover, just find us. We are everywhere and searchable wherever you look for things on the internet. You can search for us, or you can subscribe at our website, our channels, our social media accounts. Stay up on our new events and episodes. Until the next time, all of Gotham is currently available to stream on Netflix and on Hulu. If you have nominations for shows we should cover on our podcast, contact us via social media or email. You can volunteer to be a panelist too. In the meantime, and until next time, until next episode, new episodes are published every Wednesday. Keep listening, keep watching, stay tuned.
Goodbye.
Bye.